welcome to my channel, or back if you've seen some stuff before. I am Devin, and this here is my second gen. Now, originally, I had intended for this to be the Dwarf Drives a Cummins Part 2, where we were going to take it out and enjoy it in all of its glory. However, it has decided it is going to rear its ugly second gen face at me yet again, and our last round of work was somewhat successful, but we now have a whole list of things that between me, my tall help, and what days off I have available, it'd take forever to get done. So I think I found a really reliable shop. They seem to specialize in these trucks particularly. We're on the schedule. It's still about a week out, but I will run you through our new list of issues. I'll try to make it brief, and then we'll get into a couple quick repairs before it goes, and then eventually maybe we'll get to burning some tires and having some more fun that way. Alright, we'll start here at the front with the obvious. The grill, the original paint job that was underneath before I put that Texas flag on there, it went bad and the power washer took it off. So I have gone back with adhesion promoter and then a clear bed liner to go over top. I freehanded the star this time, so that looks a lot better as well. That's just hanging out in the closet waiting to go back on. Once it gets back from the shop, because it'd be kind of silly to put a brand new painted grill on there, just to have it lifted up and down and touched a bunch. Unrelated to anything we're doing else in the video, that is our AC condenser there. And prior in its life, this whole thing here was bent into it before I got it. And it doesn't really get hot here in Colorado until right about now, so I haven't dealt with it. But I have a new one sitting inside that will get swapped on in this video as well. This bumper trim has been pulled off. I had the headlights out again to double check my wiring. I am still getting a very intermittent hyperflash on this right side. But if you jiggle the actual stock in the truck, which we'll actually be replacing when it shows up today, you can make it stop or start on command. So I think it's the actual switch that's broken versus my wiring, because I've checked it a lot of times. Scratched it there apparently, but it is all good there as well. Under here, you can see that is coolant. If I still have the video, I'll insert it. But the little coolant elbow that goes out of the block to the heater core up under the dash there, it had a little pinhole in it, which that's a routine maintenance item after 21 years. I mean, what do you expect? So we swapped that, and it is still blowing coolant. It'll blow it out on the suspension here and whatnot while I'm driving. And it will not seal back up. It seems like the simplest thing ever, but it is kicking our butt. So I'm just going to have them deal with that. If you look at that spot right there, that is coming from our steering gearbox. Nothing new. That's been doing that the whole time. We're finally getting that remedied. This passenger tie rod over here, that is getting a little loose. So we have a whole brand new 4th gen Moog steering kit. We have a Fox steering stabilizer that will go right there. And then this truck has a level kit on it right there, but our track bar, as you can see, is not, it was replaced, but it's not an adjustable one. So the whole axle is actually off to the driver's side a little bit. I'll take a look at our parts over here. This long one here on the bottom, it's our steering, track bar, and then our steering stabilizer. Then we go over here. You can kind of see, I hope you can, the top of the diff there is wet. Our fuel bowl filter housing thing will not stop leaking no matter what I do, so it's time for an air dog and a beans sump. And then these various spots here, I believe they're all from the oil pan gasket. I think it's up here at the front left corner, which I can't really get under there for you at the moment. Up there at the front left corner, kind of, the oil pan is where it's really saturated. And then it kind of runs down the side of the oil pan. And then it'll drip off the corners there and the back. So once we get that taken care of, I believe that covers everything out here. Yeah, I think that covers everything out here. Now we can hop inside and take a look at our dash lights. All right, we are up in the cab. Even with all of those little nonsense problems happening, the second you touch the key, fires right up. Runs like a dream. Our airbag light, that is because I sit too close. That is unplugged. It will always remain on. The check gauges, water and fuel lights, and our oil gauge not working there are all related to the same wiring gremlin, so they will be locating that. Our brake and ABS, everything has been replaced surrounding that, aside from the ABS module. So if it turns out to be that, then I'm probably just going to let those lights hang out there and go on and off, because they don't actually really affect anything. And the only way you can fix that is to send your computer off and have someone rebuild it or refurbish it or whatever they do to it. So we'll see what they find on that. But other than the wiring gremlin, that should be all it needs in here. Alright, so our turn multifunction switch here is acting up on command really well. So our running lights are on there. One switch, that's when the only time it'll do it. So if you take, can you see? If you manipulate the switch over here, it'll make the blinker turn. So we're gonna move on because our multifunction switch has got here. Now I don't know if this is going to solve the problem either for the turn signals. I will at least accomplish something today. Come on. You can already tell it's much firmer. So hopefully we're just dealing with some play. And that's this will fix it right up. Oh, that's really close. There we go. Nice and dirty. Hopefully that means this is our issue. But it took a couple hours, but I finally tracked down a T20 Torx bit that is nice and skinny all the way down, because it didn't want to fit. I'll go and grab it. It didn't want to fit in these recessed holes here for this. This goes down here. So the time lapse will continue, and we'll get our new switch put on. new switch is in. Our running lights are on. The mode it was giving us the trouble in. Left blinker, good as usual. When you move it up and down, that extra little play doesn't affect it at all. Go to the passenger blinker, or right side. It didn't hesitate or jump or anything when I did that. You can very clearly, oh, let me turn the wheel. There we go. Oh, focus. The extra little bit of movement that you play with it doesn't affect it at all. So I will leave this cover off here just for a couple days to make sure this is good. But we'll go take a look outside, make sure it's actually working right. And I think we're good. We are now an entire month into the future, because the list of things I took it in for was like this long, and then what happened ended up being this long. I have no clue where I left off last, so I'll just give you a rundown of where everything happened. We'll start up here. You'll notice there is no bumper. We have a new Move Embark bumper on the way, and it had to end up getting torn all the way down for a timing cover gasket, which we'll get to. So they went ahead and left the bumper off. We'll head down here. Our axle seals ended up being bad on the passenger side. So when they did our front diff service there, that started showing itself. So we got 2 new U-joints on each side and new axle seals. We got our heavy-duty adjustable track bar up in there. It's got our axle nice and centered again. And then our 4th gen steering. And come over this side. And there, you can see the new Fox steering stabilizer. And right behind here, this was an add-on. Oh, can't see that. There we go. Those were an add-on. I didn't mention those beforehand, I don't think. But we got some extended control arms. So that way when you step back here, 20 little dwarf steps. One moment. There. The axle is nice and centered in our wheel well. And it should help clear the 14 wides that are on the way. Head around the side over here. There aren't any tall people here, so if I open the hood and show you anything under there, I won't be able to close it again. So we'll come around under here. Where is it? I can't actually see. Oh, there it is. That is our new sump. And then tucked up on the inside of the frame rail there is going to be our air dog. I will hop under there at some point later. And then our dash lights. Brake and ABS have been diagnosed to, it could be anything in the harness. So since it doesn't make it drive bad, that's a can of worms we're not going to open. We're just going to pull those lights. And if you remember, the airbag light, that was also on. So, this might be too close. The airbag light was also on. And so, the only way for that to ever go off, unless I go through the super long DOT process and I mark my window with its disabled sticker and blah, blah, blah. The only way that'll go off is if I pull it anyway. The water and fuel check gauges and the no oil pressure, that was just a bad oil sensor that the last shop put in over a year ago. I'm now 2 weeks in and just asking them for the receipt so I can warranty it out and fix it myself, and they're not even doing that. So I'm probably just going to pull those bulbs as well, slap the dash back together, and call it good. So now, in the meantime, I'm going to get my decals and stuff here put up on the back window there. Oh, you can't see it. The back window. So everybody knows what's up, and then give me a follow. Alrighty, got one side done. We'll go ahead and knock out the driver's side window, spare you on that time lapse, and then I'll get to the rear glass. Alright, got the passenger side done. This is the one I should have filmed, because I had to get like a full-on ladder out, since I couldn't open the door and grab onto it with my left hand. And I didn't end up filming the back one. Take a lot of steps here so you can actually see it. Oh, you still can't see it all the way. I gotta walk like 30 feet away and uphill just so you can see it here. There we go. Got the back window all done up. Just driving it to work today. The Mike Tyson sticker's gotten 5 compliments. I didn't video it because I had to scrape the old sticky stuff off for like a good hour with some Gooby Gone on the razor blade. And now I'm on to pulling some dash lights so I can put the bezel back on. I don't have any camera people, so I'm just going to do some updates. I got the little gear selector tab pulled off there. And our dash piece in the back. So since the dash was already parked, should just have to do the 4 Phillips screws and pull it out. Alrighty, and the dash cluster is out. It's itself and everywhere up in here. It's going to need a good cleaning. I'll get the air vents and all of that as well. And I will be back then. I'm not sure where the last clip went, but I do got it back in. I had to disassemble it all the way down to the front black screen to put tape over some of the lights there. Because the only one that actually had a bulb to remove was the ABS. But I got it all back together. Our overdrive lights working there. Cruise on and off. Our turn signals. We got our battery working over there. Temperature's reading. RPMs work. So the only thing to make this 100% now is if the shop ever gets me a new oil sensor, and that needle will irrelevantly stand up because I have that oil gauge there that gives me a much more accurate reading. So other than not looking at the lights anymore, I don't really need it. So I will get the cover back on, the lower one down there, put back on, and we'll be all wrapped up in here. Alrighty, got the dash nice and put back together, clean and error light free. So I guess I will run inside and go grab the big bill from the shop, run over it, give you a grand total, make sure I didn't miss anything, and I think we can get to Dwarf Drives to Cummins Part 2 and put our foot to the floor and actually get to use this thing. We're actually going to do 2 more parts and get it as ready as we can. And then we'll go over the bill. So we got our new AC condenser here to fix this totally garbage one. Before I got the truck, this was bent into there and there is a very clear hole. So we will swap that and then throw the grill on it. Alrighty, new AC condenser on and ready to be filled up. Got the grill nice and repainted. Hopefully it should last a lot longer this time. And we will get to going over the build now. Alrighty. Everything that we just had done at the shop includes the little 90-degree coolant elbow that goes out of the block by the alternator towards the heater core. There's a little hole in that. We got the full air dog and sump install, along with the little T-fitting that goes to the fuel gauge that was already there. They purchased for me a red head steering box and then installed the rest of my steering parts. The track bar, tie rod and drag link, the steering stabilizer, and then we added the extended control arms last minute, which are also on there. They serviced the front diff while all that was out of the way, and that is what revealed the axle leak on the passenger side. So we of course took care of the driver's side as well, and then did both U-joints while we were there. They said the ball joints were just fine. They looked fairly new when I got it, so we're still rolling with those. They diagnosed all of my dash lights, so I knew what to do with that. And then the oil leak, even as small as it was, ended up being the timing cover gasket. So it had to have the whole cam and all of that pulled out, and all of the seals along the way. I think that's it. And then a new serpentine belt while they were there. For a grand total of $7,756. And then these last two pages, it's some like diagnosing steps or whatever for the brake and ABS, because they said that could just be anything in the harness setting the lights off intermittently. But it doesn't make the vehicle drive bad or anything. So we're gonna roll with it. But now that all of this fun is taken care of, hopefully there will not be fixing it every single day off I have, and we can just use it to make some cool content. So don't forget to like and subscribe, tell your friends all about it, and stay tuned for the 14 Ys in the next video.